Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say good day to everybody, my viewers all over the world. And I want you to understand that it is high time we give some people some viable eye opening over what they did not really understand about the predicament of our nation, Nigeria. In a nutshell, as the president of the African People's Parliament and at the center, the president of Fireman Ministry International Worldwide, and also the president of the Protection and Safety of Christian Worldwide, I want us to understand that we need to bring Nigeria into a state at which it has to be in a better state and a stabilized state. And as a result of this, I'm able to come up with a forum which has the name as the International Movement for the Betterment and Stability of Nigeria. And what it really entails is the mending the broken walls of our country through absolute unity and oneness. But if we have to talk about the betterment of Nigeria or talk about the unism of Nigeria, I don't see some possible factors that can get that in place. Because what I can virtually envisage about Nigeria, I'm seeing that Nigeria is a nation that is already in a dilapidated state. And there's no way we can restructure and reshuffle the country on this particular platform that is practically religional fanatical, and at the same time, this factor or unstabilized government that its aim and objective is one-sided, is nepotismizing kind of government and a tribalistic kind of government, and at the same time, fanatical kind of government, and a government without decorum and equity and safety for our people. It is quite uncalled for that we must not keep aback over this unusual situation that is going on in our country, Nigeria. The president or particular head of government in Nigeria is one of the bona fide kind of weakling and satanically inclined-minded leader I've ever seen, because a leader who does not have the interests of our people at heart is a leader that is not worth leading. Is a leader that is tied with myopic characteristic and ungoverned attitude. Buhari is not a leader with decorum. He's a leader with an inimical kind of concept. He's a leader without no friendly mind. Because if what happened in Benue, and after the demise of the numbers of people that died in Benue, and after this very point in time, our president Muhammadu Buhari has not shown up there, that is to tell you that he's not a leader that has the interest of the generality of the masses of this country at heart. He's a leader that is one-sided. He's a president that is one-sided. He's not a president of Nigeria. He's a president of the House of Fulanis. He's the president of the Northerners. He's the president of the Muslim. So I just see that getting a particular Christian as his deputy or as his assistant in presidency or whatever is a strategic way to get us get us manipulated into their plots. And that apparently has defined himself and shown himself. Simbajo as a person is just there, and he's just there to get numbers in place. He's not there to get things done. They are the ones still in the leading. So what do we do in this present state? What do we do in this present condition of Nigeria, where a particular people of the country of Nigeria wanted their sovereignty, and they voiced it out outrightly without any form of breaking down of laws and without any form of interwoven or interrupting the government of the country. And as the result of this, they were impounded and treated unfriendly, and as a result, many died in the state of craving for their own sovereignty because they want their own personal amalgamation for their own kind of ease. But up to this very point in time, for you to know that Nigeria don't know what they are doing, particularly the leaders of Nigeria. And I must point out to the Igbos leaders who are quiet over the case of Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu was not a man settling his fight on himself. Nnamdi Kanu was not the one who bettered this fight over the issue of Biafra. This issue of cravings for Biafra, the issue of cravings for separation for the nation of Biafra was not what masterminded or pioneered or prepared by Nnamdi Kanu. It was prepared and initiated by Odumegwu Ojukwu. And Ojukwu aim was polishly noticed and seen. It was strictly defined that the northern part of Nigeria were actually looking for the disruption of the country by the attitude they exhibited, wanting to be one-sided in everything, and wanting to see that they are more on the leading and more on the acquiring of the nation's benefit and the power seat of the nation. A lot really happened in the 1960s and there is something and thereabout. And this initiated the issue of Biafra, which led to the biggest genocide that have ever taken place in the country. But then, this young man was able to see apparently that what was done was not well done at his own time. Many clamored for it, like Ralph Nwazurike, when he came in, I know him too well. When I was in Lagos, Nigeria, I discovered, I think I was virtually seeing a man who was really clamoring for reality, not until he started imbibing in some certain characteristic by buying the concept of deceptiveness, aligning his what? Align his aim and objective and his desire and his propelment to be bought over with money. And that seed on Masob. Up to today, Masob is not in the good book of the Easterners because of the cravings for what he was actually craving for. He buries the hatchet and go for what we just fuse out with time. But Nnamdi Kanu has to come and then think about the IPOB and wanting that to bring back reality and bring back certainty about the issue of Biafra, about the nation of Biafra. Now, this clamoring came up time to time, and we never had them do anything uncalled for over against the country of Nigeria. But they were actually pointing out outrightly their pain, their anguish over what is going on, the marginalization of the Eastern Nigerians, and particularly and how they were kept aback because of one thing or the other, because the Northerners want to be in the podium of leadership, in the podium of ruling, in the podium of directing, and even in the podium of trying to be the number one supreme head of the nation, which ought not to be so. Nigeria is a central country. Nigeria is a country that has to be for everyone, particularly that has a domicile in that nation. Nigeria is not supposed to be for a particular set of people in the northern part of Nigeria. So as a spiritual combatant, and by the grace of God, as someone who is privileged to be part and parcel of the nation Nigeria by birth and by everything, because my dad was once in the military and I was fortunate to have my people be in the military, and by the grace of God, we're fortunate to have a military general in the Nigerian army who was two-time governor of Nigeria. That was Major General George Agbazika Ini. My father retired as an officer in the Nigerian army, and now I'm a spiritual combatant of God in the army of the Lord Jesus Christ. So there's no reason whatsoever why I will not allow the gene of a militant and a spiritual militant and a fighter to run through my terrain. I'm so displeased and unhappy over the misconduct. I'm so displeased and unhappy over the attitude being exhibited towards a set of people in Nigeria. And what do we do at this given point? Do we have to sit down and keep quiet and watch at things going wrong and not getting right? So what am I trying to say in essence? We must do one thing now. Yes, we want the betterment of Nigeria. We want the stabilization of Nigeria. We don't want disintegration of Nigeria. We don't want the fight. We don't want the combating. We don't want the tribalism. We don't want nepotism. We don't want anything of that will generate rancor and generate more fight. So what do we do? At this point, I must advise Nigerians that we should look properly at this given point. By November or by 2019, we should do everything at our reach not to vote the wrong person into government. We should do everything possible at our reach not to allow anyone to buy our conscience by any form or by any way. And I want to advise our friends, brothers, and relations all over there back in Nigeria, as I'm talking from the United States of America. I want you to understand that all and sundry in Nigeria, both those in the diaspora, if we can annex our messages to our people back home and then let them understand that they are the only one that can fight for their right. They are the only one that can fight for the benefit and the betterment and the stabilization of Nigeria. And how can this be done? This can only be done when we can play back to the past. When we play back to the past, that's one thing I want to emphasize on, thereafter buttress it with some other reasons. But what I want you to understand, we can play back to the past, we can be able to see from the onset of time how Nigeria were being colonized by the Britain. And when the Britain came in, we were unanimously together as a region, as one family, as one entity. But when they came in to destabilize us, to disco-unite us, so that they can be able to come in between us and cause more chaos and use us against ourselves. And they began to set up regions and that and that and that. So and by, you know what really happened. And they get into the entirety of the people and try to make us understand we are not made to be one. We are made to be of this section, of that section, of this section. And that brought our mind disintegrated and caused this pandemonium that is going on now. More of that. And another thing is that you can simply find out that when this religional things was coming into the country, when the Christian missionaries came into Africa particularly, when they came into Nigeria, they never came into Nigeria with the gospel that will lead to rancor. They never came with the gospel that will lead, I'm talking about the Christian missionary, that will lead to chaos, that will create room for pandemonium, and that will create room for consistent upheavals. No, their mission is to bring the black man, the African, the Nigerian, particularly when they were in Nigeria, to take our mind away from a tradition that is not going to co-unite us with eternity and co-unite us with God. So they were trying to reunite us with what? With the divinity, which was not a crime. That was a very good mission. But the mission that really boiled down on me and makes me see that this set of people, they don't want the importance of the black man, because they want to make sure the black man is consistently bound so that we can turn to them for ease. Because most of the weapons and the calories at which we are using to fight ourselves is from their own end. So they want it to always get back to us so that we can trade back with them, and then when we get into into violence, and then we can turn to them and get the machineries and all the substance of war and troubles to use it against ourselves, and thereafter causing ourselves more further pains. But I know generally there is trouble all over the world. That's obvious. But the fact is this, that we must come to realization, to know deep down and authentically that we must do what is right now before things go the other way around. Because if we don't do that, there's going to be reason for further regret, and there's going to be reason for Nigeria to disintegrate. And there's nothing we can do if we don't get things stitched. Like they say, it's teaching time, save now. So for we not to jeopardize that great nation, Nigeria, then we must do something. And the only thing we have to do, we must not allow what we learned from the colonization or from the Britain, particularly. Yes, we have some positive things we learned from the Britain when they colonized us, where there are some negative things they imputed and implanted in our nations and in Africa in general. But then we have to sideline that and sweep them on the carpet and go for the one that is positive and let the negative be left behind. Now, we must understand that Christianity that was brought to Africa, particularly with Nigeria also imbibed from it, and also Islam that was brought to Africa, which also Nigeria was part of the people that imbibed from the religion, that took part of that also welcomed it somehow. But this particular religion